Lessons 116 through 124. We're learning about double stops on the violin. Double stops, also called harmonic intervals, are two notes played together. Double stops can be very easy, playing two open strings, to very, very hard where you have fingered octaves or 13. So where you play an octave plus a third. So those are very difficult. So the double stops can go from really easy to really, 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 really hard. Okay? We name the double stops by its distance from the lower to higher note. So A to C is a third because from A to C are three notes, A, B, and C. So here's A, here's C sharp, that's a third. Because it's A, 1, B, 2, C sharp is 3, that's a third. Okay? D to B is a sixth. D, E, F, G, A, B. Here's D, here's B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we count the first and the last note, and this gives us a 6. Okay? And D to D is an octave, right? D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. 8 notes, octave. Right? We don't say eighth, we say an octave for octagon or Latin for 8. Okay? So number 117, we're going to start with just open strings, nice and easy, and then it's going to progress with one finger and one open string, and then later we'll have 2 fingers and 2 strings. This is 117. We're starting with part A. So you probably at the beginning of your violin journey were struggling to play one string without touching extra strings. And now the challenge is going to be reversed because you've practiced and hopefully mastered playing on one string. Now it's going to be a little bit tricky and challenging to play in 2 strings. There's nothing inherently really hard about that, except that we don't do it a lot. We mostly play one note at a time. So when we now have to play 2 strings at a time, it's just a new activity. The best thing that I can recommend is just look at the bow, physically look at the bow, and make sure that it's on both strings. We're going to continue with part B, which now has 1 finger and 1 open string double stops. So it is a little bit tricky, it is a little bit different, but with enough practice, it will be just fine. We're moving on to 118, we have octave double stops. Now this is going to be pretty tricky, but if you can train yourself to have 1 finger on one string and pinky on the other string, that's called an octave. We have E to E, or if it's open string, D to D. The octaves will really help to set your hands. So this might be a bit of a challenge, it might be a bit of a stretch, but I think it's really good to try. You know how to shift, you know how to put 2 fingers down, or maybe this will be the time where we practice putting 2 fingers down, but this is a nice thing to attempt, and you can go as slow as you need to try to get this. Here's 118, octave double stops. We're going to go slow. I'm going to pause halfway through. You'll notice how I keep my fingers down. I'm treating each change between the octaves as a shift or a slide. I'm not lifting up my fingers. I'm keeping my fingers down and I'm trying to stay as relaxed as possible because this is more challenging. I now have to press 2 fingers at once. So I'm going to continue from the D, middle of the exercise, and continue. Number 119, we have sixth double stops, which means the distance between the two notes is going to be a sixth, right? If we count the first and second letter, it'll be 6. Now the tricky part here is we're going to pause here halfway through the exercise. The distance between some double stops is a whole step, and the distance between some double stops is a half step. So the reason why the sixths are tricky, unlike the octaves, is that sometimes they're close, sometimes they're far, but it will be either a whole step between two fingers or a half step. So we're going to continue from D and B halfway through the exercise of 119. Next, we have 120, third double stops. This is definitely very challenging. This is much more advanced than beginner level. But again, it's here. If you're able to do it or try part of it, that's great. If this is, again, just too much, skip it ahead and don't worry about it. But it's good to be at least exposed and at least try some more challenging techniques. So this is number 120. So you notice how I really have to keep my hand in a perfect position, the fingers nice and curved. So with double stops, you will not be able to play them if your fingers are not in good positions, if they're not up, because you'll be playing all kinds of extra strings. Moving on to number 121, Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star, with third. And also we got another double stop here. We got a fourth between our third and our fifth. All right, 122, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, with sixth this time. Here, and I realized that there's a typo at the last line. That should not be open G and 1 on D. It should be 1 on G and 1 on D. It should be A and E, not open G and E. So that is a typo. Please keep that in mind. I'm going to start over and just know that the last double stop of first line should be 1 1, not an open G and 1. And also in the middle of the second line, it should not be an open G. It should be 1 and an E. All right, so just keep that in mind. What you see is not what you hear. And again, if any of this is really confusing and really hard, you could just skip ahead. But again, I thought it would be fun to try these folk songs and stuff that we know with much more advanced techniques. This is 123, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, played in octaves. And again, if that is a little bit difficult, no worries. What you could do is you could do the bottom note, the top note, and then you could try to put them together. You don't have to do all of it all together. And number 124, the end of our double stop lesson, is all of it composed by me. And by all of it, we did mean that are all the double stops that we learned: octaves, thirds, and sixths. Thank you for watching. Again, please comment, like, and subscribe if you find this inspirational or helpful in any way. And I'll see you in the next lesson for learning how to play chords. Thank you.